Alrighty, everybody. I'm going to very quickly create a projectile system so that we can shoot projectiles at enemies, and that enemies can shoot the same projectiles back at us. All's fair. Let's start by creating the projectile. I'm going to make it off to the side, and then we'll turn it into a prefab. So I will create a 2D object, sprite, circle. I'm a little sick, so bear with me. And we will make that circle. Let's say brown will be our projectile color. We'll make it a little small. And that'll be my projectile. It'll just be this little circle. Actually, let's make it black. Let's just make it black. It's fine. Okay, that'll be my little projectile. I'm going to name this projectile. I'm going to tag it with, I don't know, add tag projectile. And let's give it a projectile tag, projectile name, projectile. Okay, so we have this bullet. What are we going to need for a bullet? Well, it needs to touch the player, so let's give it a component. What component should we give it? If you don't know, you've fallen behind. Think. We need to give it a collider for sure. Let's give it a circle collider 2D. And it's going to be moving through space, so let's give it a rigid body. Rigid body 2D. I'm going to turn off gravity. I'm going to set gravity scale to 0, because this is a top-down 2D game. And I think we are good to go. Let's start making a script for this projectile. So I'm going to go to my scripts folder, and I will create a new mono behavior script called Projectile. Don't mind if there's a bunch of random scripts in here that you guys aren't using. Don't stress it. Projectile. Yeah, there's stuff in here that, you know, use what works best for you. Use what works best for you. So I'm going to create a projectile script. We're going to need a few things. Let's create a variable to denote how fast it should go. And then we need a reference to the position that it should target. And it should probably have a spawn position. Reference to... Actually, maybe the spawn position I do when I instantiate it. Yeah, this would be something that I do when I instantiate the projectile. So we will not have a reference to where it spawns in. When it starts, it's going to have to find its target and then set its direction to its target. And then move in, and then let's say start moving in that direction. And update. We need some way to clean up these bullets, so let's just say where is time counted? If I have a timer that starts when this thing spawns in, is there a local time on game objects? Is there a local time on game objects that starts counting when initialized? Okay, let's just make a timer. We'll make a timer. Okay. And we'll do a timer. And when the timer expires, we'll say at the end of the timer, despawn the bullet. Just so you don't fill the game up with like an infinite number of bullets floating around and wasting computer processing, memory and stuff. All right. So let's create a timer. Let's create a private float duration. Let's make it let's say time. Private float time, and then we'll make a private, we'll make a public actually, so we could set the duration if we want to. Public float duration. And then we need to know how fast it should go. What are we going to call that variable to declare how fast our projectile can go? We're going to make a public. We could do an int. Let's do a float. Public float. We'll do some speed. That'll determine how fast we go. We could set a default speed. I'll set it to 5f. And then we're going to have a transform position. Let's do a vector 2. Let's do a public. So we could set it from outside when we spawn it in. Public. Vector 2. Target position. Now I need to initialize this. How would I initialize this? I can't do this in start. I have to create a new function. Let's say target. So we're going to create a new target, and basically what we're going to do in this target function, this needs to be public. We're going to spawn it in. It's not going to target on start. We're going to create it, and then we're going to give it a target using the target function that we're making right now. So we will say, what are we going to say? We'll say target position equals target. And we're going to pass it a vector 2 called target. So this is the target. This is where we want to go. So when I spawn this in, I'm going to say, you know, projectile.target, and then I'm going to give it the target that it's going to target. It's going to set its target position to that target. And then it needs to set its destination to that target. So let's say vector 2 direction is going to be the target's position. Minus my position minus my transform dot position, and this is a vector 3. My vector 2 transform position. This is called casting. I'm just saying this. I'm only looking at the vector 2 component of this. I'm not looking at the vector 3. So just the x and the y. I'm a little sick, so sorry if my voice is weird. Get component rigid body 2D dot velocity. Use angular velocity. No, linear velocity. It should be linear velocity, not angular. We're gonna do linear velocity, and then so our velocity, the direction that we move in, is going to be this direction that we just made. So we just have to write direction. And now this speed is always set to 1. So if we want it to move at a different speed, we're going to multiply that by the speed that we give this projectile. Okay. And now we have to do our timer in the update. So we just have to say, basically every frame we should add a value. What's up, Chris? What do you need?
Push-ups.
No, we can't. Go to bed. I have to get some work done.
But I need my money.
Okay, just do it right there quietly. I'll count it. Update. So You could do it on the carpet. I mean, it's just nicer on your hands. Sorry, I'm going to leave that in the video. My kid's doing push-ups in the background. Doesn't matter. Okay, so when we update, we have to... Sorry, maybe I'll cut this out. Sorry, I'm just sick and tired. Okay, we have to say how much time has elapsed. We have to say how much time has gone by. How do I iterate on time? Oh my goodness, I need to think for a second. Okay. So we're gonna start. We're gonna do this. We're gonna put a start function, and when it starts, we'll say what time we started at. We'll do void start. We're gonna say that we started at. So time is gonna equal. And this is gonna sound really dumb, but it's gonna be time.time. So this is gonna set our time to whatever time we spawn at. It'll let us know what time we spawned, and then if time how do I do a time? This isn't a timer. What am I thinking? I'm like zoned out right now. If time is less, no. If the current time, if time.time minus time, so if the current time that it is subtracted by the time that it was when we spawned in becomes bigger than the duration, that means that we've existed longer than the duration, so we will destroy this game object. Okay, I think this is it. I'm going to put this on screen in full from bottom to top. You guys should write this whole thing out if you have not done so. Let's condense it a little bit. Okay. So we have this whole thing written out, and let's look at it in game now. So we have this projectile, but we need one more piece of code. We need code to decide when to launch a projectile, which is going to take a little long too, so sorry about that. I'm very sick, I'm sorry. Okay, so we need to launch this thing. So basically, let's do this. Let's go to our enemy controller, and we'll say, where's the distance to player? We'll give the enemy controller a reference to the projectile prefab, I think. Yeah, we're gonna give it a reference to the projectile prefab. Public game object projectile prefab. So this is gonna be a reference to the prefab, and what we'll do is we'll say if we're close to the player, we'll fire the projectile every like 2 seconds. So let's do, public shot delay, public float shot delay. That's how long you'll wait between shots. And we'll do public float time from last shot. Okay. And now when I'm close to the player, okay, so this is when I'm close to the player. Oh no, what? Vector distance, transformed opposition, target 0. Does this have my player set as target 0? Well, that's such a stupid way to do this. Okay, my player is target 0, I guess. This is a really dumb way to do this. This shouldn't be here. Current target should just be 1. Okay. That's all really dumb, but it doesn't matter. Hopefully that doesn't mess anything up. He's probably have his own reference to player, but that's okay. This is when he's targeting the player. So we'll say he's currently targeting the player in this situation. When he's targeting the player, we can check if the So when we spawn in, we'll set the time from last shot will equal time. So when he starts, like the last time he shot will be when he first spawns in. That's just so that we don't get an error here where this is not set. So we'll say if the time from last shot, if the current time minus the time from last shot, if time dot time, probably capital T, if time dot time minus the time from last shot is greater than shot delay, then we have to say shoot. Shoot is going to be instantiate. We'll create a new game object called projectile. It's going to be instantiated. So we're going to say instantiate is going to create the new game object. What do we call it? Projectile prefab. And we're going to do it at whatever enemy we're standing at's position. We'll say projectile. We'll set the target. What did I do? Set target. What did I do? Okay, I'm looking at this projectile. I want to access its... Okay, I need to get component. Projectile.getComponent. I need to look at its projectile script. This is very annoying, but it's okay. Projectile. So that should be the... Looking at the projectile script, and now I need to set target. Set... Why don't... I'm looking at my projectile game object. I'm looking inside of its projectile component. When I'm inside of a projectile component, I should have a... Oh, it's just called target. Target. Okay. Oh yeah, I have to give it a target. That makes sense. Target is going to be the player. Targets 0. In this case, this is the name of the player. If you have a player reference, just use the player.transform. Target 0.transform, and this is a vector 3. So I have to tell it to switch it to a vector 2. Vector 2. This is not the most useful guide. I'm so sorry, but what we're doing here is this is a vector 3. That's XYZ. We can't use that. We need to switch it to a vector 2. Transform.position. Now we're good. Okay. So when we're close to the player, we're going to set the target, and we're going to set the time from last shot is going to equal the current time. Okay, now as long as we have all these references set, let's say shot delay is 1F. Time from last shot starts. So we need to give the enemy a projectile prefab, and he should be good to go. He should be able to shoot me now, which is cool. We'll do shooting back next time. We'll do shooting back next time because I gotta get to bed. So I have my enemy. Projectile prefab. Oh yeah, I should drag my projectile into prefabs. I'm gonna go to my enemy. 2 enemies. I have an empty projectile prefab. I will set that. Go to the other enemy. I will set his projectile prefab. And now, I think we are cooking with gas. Nope, because my projectile probably doesn't have a projectile script. Which would not work out well. It did not, yeah. Oh, these guys are after me, boys. Let's give them a script. Projectile script. Duration will be 1 second. Speed will be 5. Okay. If all my references are set, I should not get this red arrow at the bottom. It looks like my references are set. It looks like these guys are chasing me. It does not look like they're spawning projectiles. So they are. That little stutter is 1 spawn, 1 spawn. So projectiles are spawning. What was my mistake? I didn't make them on the background. They're in-game. I just can't see them. My mistake was the order in layer. They're underneath the background. Let's go to my prefab and set order in layer to 1. And now let's see if my projectiles work. So I set order in layer to 1. They were appearing. They were working. They were just showing up behind the game. Okay. My enemies don't turn to face me, and they're pushing each other's projectiles away. And the projectiles should last longer than 1 second. Let's increase the projectile duration. So I'm going to my prefab. I'm going to go to duration. Let's set it to 10 seconds. And let's actually make it a trigger. And now let's try that one more time. The trigger will make it so the enemies won't push their own projectiles around, or the projectiles won't push their spawners around. The duration and speed will make the projectiles last longer. Oh, but now that it's a trigger, it can actually shoot through walls, which is a little different. But that's okay. This is working decently, I'd say. It's a little off. It's a little off, isn't it? Okay, so they're shooting now. Okay, their shot delay is a little off. Let's add it so that the projectiles do damage to my player, and then I'm going to end this video. So if I go to my player script, player controller, I can make it so that when I collide with a hat, a hurt box, okay, I'll just give it the hurt box tag. That'll be good enough. This is triggers on trigger enter. Okay. So I will give it the projectile. Nope, I will give it the projectile. I'll just give it a hurt box. That should be good. That should be good. It should do damage now. Maybe I increase projectile speed will make it feel more responsive, because right now it's really like, yeah, it is hurting me. So when I touch them, my health goes down. Let's make the projectiles way faster. Projectile speed 20. I think since they're so slow, it makes it hard. But now my enemies can shoot at me. They are a little aggressive. Okay, they're pretty accurate, but as long as you're moving, they don't hit you. If you're not moving, they do hit you, which is fine. Whoa. And the hurt box is set up to hurt them. They can hurt themselves. Okay, that might be a glitch, though. I might need to fix that. Well, the enemies are complicated enough already. Why is there so many circles in here? I forget what I did. Oh, that is a funny way to do the enemy art. Okay, that's cute. I guess we'll make them rotate at some point. They should maybe. Let's give them a create empty. Let's call this gun. Oh, I should do this in the prefab. Oh, I never made them a prefab. What the hell? Okay, I'm going to delete the second enemy because they should be prefabs. I'm going to make this a gun. I'm just going to go into the enemy code and make it so it spawns from the gun. The gun is just a position in front of his face so he doesn't shoot himself. So we'll say public transform gun position. And then when the bullet spawns in, we'll say gun position, dot position. Okay, so when the bullet spawns in, it's going to spawn at the gun position. We have to set the gun position in the prefab, and then we'll be able to make enemies that work a little bit better. Just tiny things. And then I'm going to save this video. I'm going to send it in. We're going to do this in class. I'm going to rebuild this whole video series for next semester, which doesn't help you guys, but it is what it is. We do our best. Gun position is going to be right here. Okay, now when I press play, the bolts are going to spawn from in front of their eyeballs. Next time we'll make it so we could fight back, and we'll make it so that they turn and face us when they're chasing us. They turn and face their position. Okay, that enemy should definitely be a prefab. and then I am locking this in as the finished video. Prefabs, enemy, drag that in. We now have an enemy prefab. I can now just click and drag to drag in any enemy I want. Where is he? Okay, maybe that doesn't work. Why is this target so far? Okay, let's just change the prefab. This should be at 0, 0, 0. This should be at 0, 0, 0. Should be at 0, 0, 0. And let me guess, his prefab has, yeah, element 0 can't be set. Okay, one more line of code just to make this work is when he wakes up, he'll say targets. This is not how I would want to do this, but targets.0 is going to equal player. And then we'll have a public game object player. And I guess when we start, we're going to have to move that out of awake because it's going to be too late. It has to be in start. It's going to be private. Is there a start already? We're going to do private void start. We have to find the player. We have to find game. Find object by type. Find it by type player controller. Find type of player controller. Player equals game object. Dot. No. This should work. This should find the game object. What is this finding? Oh. Find how do I find a game object in Unity? Let me look it up. I just want to find the player when the game starts so he knows who the player is. It's a stupid way to set it, but it is what it is. That should work. So he's just setting target 0 to player. He's finding player by doing game object.find player. This is the full current enemy controller. Oh god, I'll scroll through it just from top to bottom. And we're just gonna save this. You could pause the video if you need to see that again. This is the full projectile code. I think my prefab should work now. He should find the player when the game starts. I gotta get to bed. Oh my god, I should reshoot this video tomorrow, but it's all good. This is gonna be like painful for students. Sorry guys. Okay, so I have my enemy prefab. Okay, now if I drag in an enemy prefab, I press play, and let's see if they work. Okay, they all work. Okay, I'm gonna be done. Let's do one last look back through the scripts. Actually, you guys can pause the video, find what you need. I gotta get to bed. Sorry. Low quality video. Don't rate me. I'm gonna rebuild the series later, but it is what it is. I'm losing energy. I'm so sick.